And while we were shooting, I just asked him, can you just look at us, please? And this moment, I think actually this is something where I'm trying to get to be open to things like this. And sometimes if you're too prepared, you might make some yourself blind. But the biggest enemy is always the time.
Hello, and welcome back to The Director's Cut, brought to you by the Directors Guild of America. In this episode, a proud man struggles to provide for his family in director Visar Morina's drama, Shame and Money, which was screened as part of the DGA's Global Cinema Series. The film tells the story of Shaban, a proud family man struggling to provide as financial pressures mount. Embarrassed about accepting the support of his family, he faces tough choices about pride versus survival. In addition to Shame and Money, Morina's other directorial credits include the feature films Father and Exile. Following the Global Cinema Series screening of the film at the DGA Theater in Los Angeles, Morina spoke with director Valerie Weiss about filming Shame and Money. Listen on for their spoiler-filled conversation.
Hello, everybody. Hi, I'm Valerie Weiss. I'm a co-chair of the Women's Steering Committee. I'm on the Sustainable Future Committee, and I'm a member of the Special Projects Committee that brought you this incredible film tonight. And I'm very excited to be in conversation with the director, Visar Morina, who is, where are you? Are you in Germany? Is that right? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, perfect. Great. Awesome. Well, it's so nice to meet you. I'm a huge fan of the movie. I watched it twice now, and I'm sitting in a room of palpably thoughtful, moved people. I can feel the energy in the room, and I'm very excited to get to have a conversation with you about it. So thank you for your time. Are you, just before we start, for some context, are you in Germany right now, or where do you live?
I do live in Germany right now. I'm in London.
In London. Amazing.
5 o'clock in the morning.
I was just going to say thank you for waking up early or staying up late.
Thank you very much for having me. I think it's a very special thing. I have seen so many talks on the stage, and so I'm very grateful having the chance.
Thank you. Well, we're honored. I'm particularly honored to be able to ask you questions that, I was thinking about watching the movie and then again the second time. And so I'll just jump right in. My first reaction to watching it was, it's such a quiet film. It's so nuanced. It's so character driven. And yet I found it incredibly suspenseful. In fact, when I was watching the screener with earphones in and my family was in the room, I screamed like several times. And it's not your typical genre where you might, exclaim things, but I found it very gripping and very tense. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because clearly that was, beautiful, invisible craftsmanship to make something that would get that kind of visceral reaction from the audience. Could you just talk a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, actually, to be honest, I'm quite a lot into thrillers and also some kind of horror, or at least very often I feel in my surrounding or in everyday life, there are moments that I feel they are quite horrible or horrorful, but was here I was actually trying to take, I guess everybody does, trying to be as much as it gets in the perspective of the characters, and to take the situation they are in as serious as it gets, and very often things started from there. And the good thing here was that with the main character, I worked 4 times with him together. He's a very well friend of mine. And writing the script, I had him in mind. And so this helped a lot. But to be honest, I think every film needs some kind of tension. And I think this is a very important thing also to keep scenes together. And So I'm very happy to hear that.
Yeah, thank you. It's like a masterclass in tension. And that's interesting to say that you were looking to infuse a thriller vibe to it, because it's clearly doesn't feel like that genre. And I think you were very successful in really putting us on edge. And, that scene where Shaban goes into the house to the nice man who hired him. And, we hear the first violence. Everybody in the audience went, "Ah!" And it's just very, very effective. And it doesn't let up until later when we see that man is alive and we understand it really was a dream. So thank you. My next question, because we're at the DGA and this is like a masterclass in directing, talk to us a bit about some of your very intentional and formal staging choices. There's two moments in the film that to me felt like counterpoints, the dinner scenes. The first one early in the film where we're behind Shaban's mom's back. And I think the scene is just one shot and you have people on either side when the brother basically is asking for money and the other brother slaps him. It's such a tense scene. And to me, that feels like a scene that's about shame and money. And then and a big turning point in the movie. And then later on in the movie, and maybe it's 2/3 of the way through, there's another dinner scene where we're again behind an elderly character, the father-in-law, who's the invalid. And we're in another very different scene where Shaban's not even at the table. And to me, that felt like that was pride and money. It was the beginning of him trying to get his pride back, at least as I saw it. And I just thought it was just so beautiful and elegant and subtle again. Clearly, these are very intentional choices of a very seasoned, talented filmmaker. Could you talk to us a little bit about how if I'm even correct in my assumptions about it, but how do you craft that? At what point, is that in the writing that you're thinking of that? How do you sort of think about your staging so that it says so much more than, what it could say?
No, interesting. This is my third film, and usually I did storyboard almost everything, especially on my second one. And this time I was trying actually to avoid this, and I knew I will have people, in the cast that are not so experienced, and I have to find ways with them to get to certain moments. And sometimes I made scenes longer just to give them some way to walk basically till they get into the mood. So I knew I will need a different approach. And then I was really very much trying. I think Kosovo is such a fascinating country in this transition. And I was very, this sounds like, I feel almost ashamed using this term, but I was very much trying to get a sense of track of time. And I was more interested in capturing something than making it look good or beautiful. And actually, the idea was that the camera shouldn't feel so obvious, and it should more the performance. But this first scene, the dinner scene, is the first thing I wrote before basically I knew how the film will go, and how it's the very first thing I wrote, and I actually didn't change it. And I knew that it will be, it's obvious, very important. And this is actually the moment where the family falls apart. So this was the scene also for me as a writer to get in, but also for the actors. We did rehearse like three days.
Wow.
Not all the day, but it was also actually a good scene to get the actors into the mood and the way how we are working. And then while we were shooting it, a funny thing happened. At some point the camera moves. And we did shoot when the guy is hitting the table, the camera moves. And we did shoot it with two cameras because I was, And then at some point I asked the guy, "Can you please not move?" And then so it didn't work. And then the other guy came, and the same thing happened. And later it turned out also the sound guy was moving, and you hear this little girl always, I don't know how you say it in German, you say "Schluck auf." She reacts to it every time. Somehow the people were really very much into it. And to be honest, I was hoping that we can have it in one shot. I didn't think we will manage it, but it turned out to be very beautiful. But I did change one certain thing. The younger guy doesn't hit back.
Yeah.
And while we were doing it, I felt like he's too much of a victim. And one take, I asked him just to hit back once. And this changed everything. This changed the whole atmosphere, the whole tension, and also the reaction to one another. And this was actually the take that we took in. But to back to your question. Mostly, I do have quite a certain way how I think I'm going to shoot it, but I'm trying to lose it as much as I can while I'm shooting it.
Mm-hmm. So prepping and then throwing it away on the day, like knowing what you want, but trying to be organic.
Yes, or also being very open. For example, I don't know, this moment, maybe it's because of this. I like very much after the scene, the older brother sitting in the car and looking at the house. Mm-hmm. He asks him, I'm going to the city. Should I get you something? No, thank you. Okay, have a nice day. Then he goes into his car, sits there. And while we were shooting it, I just asked him, can you just look at us, please? And this moments, I think actually this is something where I'm trying to get to be open to things like this. And sometimes if you're too prepared, you might make yourself blind. But the biggest enemy is always the time. And so sometimes you have to figure out how much prepared you should be in order to manage everything and how much open you should be. So, yeah.
Yeah. That's great. And I love so many of the moments where you do let it run a little bit longer, like when Shaban is on the ground with the clippers after he's saying, I'm sorry. We're with him for quite a long time. And it's in those last couple beats of performance that we start to understand his psychology even more. So it really is so much of your writing is in the acting of the characters.
I steal it from a great American film.
It's beautiful. A particular film or just the style of film?
There are two scenes in films that made me think of films in a different way.
Which ones?
And one of them, it's a sex scene in Lost Highway.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. When she's saying it's okay, hitting him. Uh-huh. I was a teenage boy and I was freaking out. And then really, seriously, it was. And then in Fargo, when the guy talks to his father-in-law and trying to convince him for his idea, but the father-in-law just wants to buy it and not to have him included. And then we see a wide shot. It's everything snow, and he goes into his car, but he has no sight. He cannot see because there's too much snow. And he gets out trying to clean his view. And then he gets very mad. But he doesn't, after going mad a bit, then he keeps going. And this keeping going, I remember it being deeply touched. And to be honest, while writing, I didn't think of it. But while making it, I thought, I just yes, yeah.
That's great. It's so great to hear those details about the process. Thank you. This is sort of more of a writing question. I'm curious. Did you ever consider in the movie showing what happened to the brother? He's the inciting incident, essentially. I'm not. It seems like we don't need to know anything after he's left. It's really about Shaban's reaction to his circumstance. But I'm just curious, in the genesis of the project, at any point, did you consider, showing that?
This was actually a bigger. It's funny you're asking this because during the editing, we talked about everything, but not about this. But during the writing, and also when I talked to people who financed the film, it was a bigger question. Sometimes I was thinking maybe it's nice if he really talks to him. But at the same time, I felt, at least for me, the film was so much about something else.
Yeah.
And somehow it felt strange, or it felt, I was actually, while shooting and while editing, I never thought of it. While writing sometimes, but actually it never felt the right thing to do.
I mean, it feels like a divergent path. It feels like it's really just, the movie's so subjective. We're really about what's Shaban's new reality, and it doesn't really matter what happened to the brother. But I was just curious. Thank you. We're probably all wondering about this sequence, about 2/3 of the way through. There's the moment where it's very disorienting angles where we start at the sky and Shaban's been just offered water by his buddies, the other workers. And then we take this really long journey through the city and see the Bill Clinton statue and a wedding. I have my own theories about what you're trying to say. I feel like that's the beginning of showing, not the beginning, I think we've already been showing it, but of Shaban experiencing not being there, right? Like there's this world going on that he's not part of it, like a dissociation. That's how I interpret it, but very curious what it's meant to be, if that's correct. And maybe you could talk about that, because it's quite a big departure and to do something like that. So please share with us about the process.
Oh, I think there are many different things. To be honest, very often, I don't know how it's with you, but very often I do write something and then I don't think so much while writing it, and then when I'm done, I'm trying to make sense of it. And I have I figured out for myself, at least, it helps me if I don't write a thing I don't like. So sometimes it takes me weeks to move one step ahead, and sometimes I'm very fast. So I actually mostly don't know where I'm going, and I'm just, I'm trying. So there are so many thoughts about this. I have seen weddings like this on streets, and I was very fascinated by it. Also, this kind of music, I grew up in Kosovo, and it's all my kitschness comes out as soon as I hear this guy's. I don't know. Actually, there are emotions inside me I was not aware till I was hearing this. Some childhood things. I don't know. But then there's another thing. I feel where, at least in Germany, or we talk very often about things, but we don't put them so much in a context. And I have to I had to remind myself over and over again that this is a post-war country. There was Milosevic 10 years. It was a horrible dictatorship, and then there was a war. And of course, it needs some time to find its own direction. And then there's also a very funny thing about, and sad at the same time, about Bill Clinton. People were so sick of this dictatorship and so sick of the war and so afraid that then when the NATO interfered, they were really very, very thankful. And watching videos of soldiers entering Kosovo and how the people and kids and all ran to them. And there is in Kosovo an interesting tradition. The names of the people very often reflect the situation the parents were in. For example, my cousin is called Protest, or a friend of mine named his kids for a forest or tree. So there's this tradition, and this is a bit silly, but there are kids named Bill Clinton.
Really?
Because they were born during the attack.
Wow,
so,
that's
and
amazing.
Then you have someone like Bill Clinton, but not written in a original way, in Albanian way, Bill Clinton Morina or Bill Clinton Berisha.
Wow.
So there's a huge admiration for the US. I don't know how it's now with Trump, but at least for before this, and that's why the street is really named after him. It's called Bill Clinton. And when I was doing the research, and the workers' line, there's really a workers' line. We took the street that is used as workers' line, and next to it is Bill Clinton. And I thought it's interesting. I don't know.
That's wild. That's great.
Yeah.
And in terms of like the story and psychology, what is the shot besides the world building and the seasoning of Kosovo, where it's set? What is there? Is there additional meaning that it's meant to be for the storytelling or for the character? Or is it a breath in the movie?
No, I think maybe it's everything. I mean, for me, it's also, there were, for example, some interesting, actually heartbreaking things. For example, I was very much trying to do a proper research. For example, all the numbers that are named, these were the mark prices at this time. That Shaban gets 300. This is what the people get. And I went to these people, the security guards, and talked to them. And I spent some time with them. At some point, I asked them, "Where's the bathroom here?" And it turned out there was none. And then I was talking and I was complaining about it, because those people who built this gated community, they make so much money out of it, really, like heavily money. And then I was, talking to my production manager, and he said, probably they have forgotten. They have forgotten to think of it. And in a weird way, it makes sense, but at the same time, it tells how much those people are really not there. And for me, and if they were Serbs, people would say, "Well, fuck the Serbs, what they are doing to us." They are doing it because, and I think really many things is a issue of class and basically of money. So and there is a way of the system of money. I don't know. It's much harsher than in Germany. And with after the war, this was the new era, where you basically have no rights for workers. No, I really don't know how people make it there. I was, for example, during the preparation, I was sitting outside ordering a beer, and it was €4. €4 in Pristina is a lot.
Yeah.
And the guy who was offering me the beer gets 300 a month.
Wow.
6 days a week.
Wow.
So and of course this was, this is also part of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe this goes also back to your question at the very beginning. I feel very often, there are some really very great films about social issues, and I'm deeply influenced by Italian cinema, but also Iranian cinema and also the Dardenne brothers. But very often I feel sometimes they are so busy, and I think right so, trying to capture the situation that the people are in, that sometimes this emotional impact, what it does to you to offer yourself day and day again, saying, I'm worth of being part of something. I'm worth of I'm a human being. And this inner thing, I feel like it's, and basically this was for me the biggest challenge, having a social environment and then going more into, let's say, more inner view of the character.
Yeah.
And this scene helped me also with it, or at least I was trying to do so.
I think you did such a beautiful job, because it's first and foremost a character study and an emotional experience for us. And it's clearly also a social film and about capitalism, but that's secondary. We feel that by learning it through the character's eyes. We don't feel like there's a message, or I didn't certainly, being told to us. And I thought that's very hard to achieve and very beautifully executed. And that brings me actually to my next question, which is this theme of capitalism. It seems that it's, and in particular, how men fit into a system seems to be a recurring theme in your work. I haven't seen Exile, but it seems like it may also touch on these ideas. And I'm curious, what has shaped this for you? Where does this interest come from for you?
Oh, How man, honestly, I would say how, a human being, and maybe I'm very much fascinated by groups. It's weird. I sometimes it's weird. I feel human beings can be very beautiful and very dangerous in a group. And I am also sometimes also, even to be honest, also when I'm sometimes in a jury, it can be a bit strange to see how we come up to a decision for that film or not that film. And very often I feel like it's actually not really about what each of them thinks, but more about the status that you want to have within this situation. So a group somehow affect me. Then I think for sure, I came as a refugee to Germany, and I came with my family, and I think the whole family was trying, sometimes maybe a bit too much, to convince others that we are okay. So probably it has to do something with it. I don't know. Yeah. And I'm very much influenced, or not. I love Kafka very much. So I basically ate him. Yeah. I mean, I read everything many times. That's not a lot what he has written, but yeah. And I don't know. Yeah.
I can absolutely see that influence of your worth being defined by how useful you are to people, to society, and how that changes circumstantially. And that's a great theme, and also constantly changing in this modern era as well, and so dependent on where you live and the political system. Yes, so yes. It's but this feels very timeless, this story, that it could be set anytime, anywhere. It's really it's beautifully universal. What you spoke a little bit about this, but about what filmmakers have been big influences on you. You mentioned the two films that influenced some shots in this one, and the Iranian cinema and Italian cinema. But is there anything else you can tell us about specific films or filmmakers that shaped your aesthetic, you as an artist? Anything else you want to share?
There are a lot. There are so many great films, really. Like, in this one, honestly, formerly I was trying to take another path in terms of making the form as little as it gets visible, and to be it more driven about by the characters and by the situations they are in. And I was very much trying, I think there's an interesting thing when we agree that the only thing that is has a value is the money. I feel very soon we start also greeting someone or not greeting someone can be a part of this money thing, and it can be like a virus to each feeling I'm having. And this was so, and I was thinking it might be way more interesting if it's if we actually experience it. But no, there are so many great films. In this case, I feel bad saying it. Separation was I love this film. Really, it's I think it's a beautiful film. And also there was a scene in Taste of Sherry. I don't know if you have seen this film.
I haven't seen it. I know that I'm familiar with it, but I haven't seen it.
The guy is trying to, there's a guy who is selling plastic bags, and he gets offered a job, and he said, I can only collect plastic bags, and he repeats this like 100 times within 20 seconds. Yeah. And I felt it was very touching, and somehow this man stayed very much in my head, and I was hoping to get a bit closer to this kind of acting. No, but I think the most important film of the century is The Master.
Is which one?
Seriously, The Master. I think The Master by Paul Thomas Anderson, for me, it's like the film of the century. I have watched it many, many times, and I remember very strongly the first time I saw it in the cinema, and but basically, I mean, or at least if people would ask me if aliens would ask me what is a good film to see in order to understand people, I would choose two, and this would be this one and A Woman Under Influence.
I was going to ask if John Cassavetes was an influence on you. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's so
yes, yeah. No, I mean, John Cassavetes, like everybody, but I think especially this one is
yeah.
But
so
I mean, also nowadays there are really I very much like Zone of Interest. I really love this one, and I think John Glaser is one of the greatest.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. What's next for you? What are you working on right now?
I'm making I met yesterday my casting director. That's why I'm in London. I'm very excited about it. I'm trying to make a love story set in Germany, Portugal, and Austria. And I am deeply disturbed by what's going on with ICE in the US, and not only there. And while writing the story, at some point, I made the people being with no status.
That sounds fantastic. So important. I'm going to be in Austria and Vienna at the end of May. If you're there, we should meet up. That's very cool.
Let's do this. It would be nice.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. Fantastic. Do you have any parting words you want to share with us about the film or the journey or international filmmaking? You have a big audience here that is very excited to see your work tonight. Is there anything else?
I don't see anyone, and I have a small image of you. So actually, it helps me very much because I watched many talks on YouTube on, I don't know what stage it is, but in this theater, and I feel very honored and thank you very much for watching it. And we were in Sundance and it was such a great experience, and I was really touched how much the public linked it with their own experiences. They started talking about themselves or about family members or friends, and didn't see it like some aliens in another country. And this made me very happy.
That's great. Fantastic.
And thank you very much.
Well, thank you. We're honored you woke up early for us. Thank you. Beautiful film. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to another DGA Q&A. The Director's Cut is available wherever you listen to podcasts. And please share, subscribe, rate, and review. We'd love to hear your feedback, and you can help fellow film buffs find the show. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time. This podcast is produced by the Directors Guild of America